It was just past 10 a.m. over the Red Sea when two U.S. Navy F-18 Super Hornets from the carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower were patrolling the skies. The mission was routine: monitor shipping lanes, protect American vessels, and keep an eye on the tense coastline of Yemen. But nothing about that morning would stay routine for long. The lead pilot, callsign Razor, had been flying combat missions for nearly a decade. His wingman, Ghost, was younger, sharp, and eager. Both men knew the Houthis had been getting bolder, launching drones and missiles toward the sea, hoping to make headlines by striking something American. But trying to hit a U.S. fighter jet? That would be suicide. At 10:17 a.m., Razor's radar picked up a strange blip, small, fast-moving, coming from the Yemeni coast. "You seeing that, Ghost?" he asked calmly. Ghost replied, "Copy that, I've got the same contact. Range 40 miles, low altitude." Razor frowned inside his helmet. Low altitude meant one thing: the target was trying to stay below radar detection. Moments later, a bright red warning flashed across the jet screen: "Missile launch detected. Brake right." Razor shouted. Both Hornets split wide, diving hard as their countermeasure system screamed to life. Flares burst from the jets, streaking across the blue sky. The incoming missile streaked through the air, guided by a cheap infrared seeker, the kind the Houthis had been using in their modified Soviet launchers. Razor felt his G-suit tighten as he pulled a sharp turn, watching the missile curve after him. It was fast, faster than he expected. "They're getting smarter," he muttered. The missile's heat seeker locked on his exhaust, closing the distance in seconds. Razor flipped a switch, dumping extra flares and cutting throttle. The missile veered off, chasing a decoy fireball before exploding harmlessly in the air. Missile defeated, Razor breathed out. Ghost's voice crackled through the radio. "What the hell was that? They really just tried to smoke a U.S. Navy jet." "Yeah," Razor replied grimly. "Big mistake." The calm was short-lived. Razor's radar beeped again. 2 more launches, this time in a staggered pattern. Whoever was down there wasn't done yet. The game had just begun. 2 more launches confirmed, Ghost called out, his voice steady but tense. Razor's radar showed the new missiles rising fast, weaving slightly as they homed in. The Houthis had clearly upgraded their systems, maybe with Iranian guidance kits. These weren't wild, random shots. Someone on the ground knew what they were doing. Razor rolled his Hornet hard left, dropping flares in rapid bursts. "Stay unpredictable," he said. "Don't give those seekers a straight line." Ghost responded instantly, diving into a steep bank that made his jet look like a silver streak slicing through the clouds. The missiles closed to within 5 miles. One locked onto Razor, the other on Ghost. Razor went vertical, pulling his jet into a screaming climb. Alarms wailed, the missile's tone rising in his headset. At the last moment, he cut throttle, popped flares, and yanked the stick into a corkscrew maneuver. The missile missed by inches, shooting past and detonating in a flash of heat and smoke. "Splash 1, Razor said through gritted teeth. "Ghost, status." "I'm good. Second missiles lost me." Ghost replied. "They just blew a couple $1,000,000 for nothing." Below them, through the haze, Razor could see a cluster of launch trucks parked near a coastal ridge. Heat signatures flickered around them, maybe spotters, maybe another launcher prepping to fire. He switched his targeting pod online. "Command, this is Razor 1, he radioed. "We've confirmed multiple SAM launches from Grid 26 Alpha. Request clearance to engage." A pause, then the calm, unmistakable voice from the Eisenhower's Combat Information Center replied, "Razor 1, you are cleared hot. Repeat, cleared hot." That was all Razor needed. "Copy that," he said, selecting a pair of AGM-88 HARMs, high-speed anti-radiation missiles built to hunt and destroy radar emitters. "Let's give them something to remember." Both Super Hornets banked toward the coastline. Razor locked onto the radar source, fired one HARM missile, then another. The pair streaked across the sky at nearly Mach 2, diving down on their targets. Seconds later, the desert below erupted in twin explosions, dust, fire, and shockwaves rolling through the air. The enemy's radar went dark. Ghost laughed. "That's gonna ruin their day." "Correction," Razor said, leveling out. "It just ruined their month." But as the smoke cleared, Razor's threat display blinked again. New radar signals, different frequencies, closer this time. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. "They're bringing backup." Razor's eyes narrowed at the radar screen. 3 new emitters had come online, mobile launchers repositioned inland, working in coordination. "They're spreading the net," he muttered. Ghost replied, "Man, these guys are organized. Not the usual hit-and-run crew." Razor banked his Hornet north, keeping altitude low to avoid the new radar sweeps. He could feel the tension in his chest. Whoever was running the Houthis' targeting systems wasn't just guessing, they were tracking with discipline. It had the fingerprints of an Iranian advisor written all over it. "Command, be advised," Razor radioed. "Multiple SAM sites active. Possible foreign control." "Copy, Razor. Stay defensive. Additional support is launching from the Ike now. ETA 7 minutes. 7 minutes. That was an eternity in combat airspace. Suddenly, the threat receiver screamed again, beep beep beep. Another missile had launched, this one faster, higher, and smarter. Razor shoved the throttle forward, afterburners igniting with a roar. Incoming. Defensive. Both Hornets went into high-G maneuvers, twisting through the sky like knives. The missile streaked between them, barely missing Ghost's tail. "That was close." Ghost shouted. "Too close," Razor replied. "They've got line-of-sight guidance, they can see us." He flipped his targeting pod back on and zoomed the camera toward the origin point. Through the shimmer of heat and dust, he caught sight of something strange, a large truck, with an antenna array unlike any Houthi unit he'd seen before. "That's not local gear," Razor said. "That's imported." Ghost's voice was steady but sharp. "Then we take it out before they get lucky." Razor nodded, already arming his JDMs. "Copy that. Line up for attack run. I'll take the lead." The two Hornets rolled into a steep descent, slicing through the clouds. Anti-aircraft tracers shot up from the ground, bright orange lines cutting across the blue. The sound of cannon bursts echoed in Razor's headset as small rounds peppered the air. "Hold steady," he muttered. "Almost in range." A loud warning buzzed, "Missile lock, again." Razor stayed calm. "Ignore it. Trust the ECM." He pressed the trigger. Two 500-pound JDMs dropped free, their guidance fins adjusting midair. The bomb streaked down toward the truck, striking dead center. The explosion was massive, a rolling fireball that tore through the ridge. The radar signals vanished instantly. Ghost whooped. "Target destroyed." Razor exhaled. "Good hit. That should cool them off." But before he could finish, a new voice crackled through their comms, one neither of them expected. "U.S. aircraft, you are entering restricted Yemeni airspace. Turn away immediately." Razor and Ghost exchanged a glance. The accent wasn't Houthi. It was something else, something far more professional. Razor's cockpit fell silent except for the low hum of his engines. That voice had come through crystal clear, steady, commanding, and definitely not local. Ghost broke the silence first. "Did you hear that? That's no militia radio chatter." "Yeah," Razor said quietly. "That's military-grade comms, encrypted frequency. Someone's testing us." He switched to a secure line with the carrier. "Command, Razor 1. We just received a transmission warning us out of Yemeni airspace. Non-Houthi origin. Advise." The reply came after a tense pause. "Razor 1, copy all. Maintain defensive posture. Do not engage further unless fired upon." Razor clenched his jaw. Whoever was on the other end had guts, threatening U.S. Navy fighters right after their SAM crews had been vaporized. It wasn't a bluff, it was a message. The question was from who? Seconds later, Razor's radar pinged again. This time, it wasn't a missile or a launcher. It was a fighter jet. "Ghost, I've got a new contact, 30 miles out, fast mover, unknown type." "Copy," Ghost said. "Looks like somebody wants a closer look." The two Hornets climbed higher, banking toward the signal. The contact closed rapidly until Razor's visual sensors picked it up, a sleek, delta-wing jet slicing through the sky. "That's an Iranian Sarkar," Razor muttered. "Modified F-5. They really want to play games today." The Iranian pilot flew dangerously close, cutting across Razor's nose in a clear challenge. For a few tense seconds, both sides held position, weapons armed, fingers ready, eyes locked through tinted canopies thousands of feet above the Red Sea. Ghost whispered, "He's waiting for you to flinch." Razor smirked. "Not happening." With absolute control, Razor pulled a tight roll, sliding right behind the Sarkar. His targeting system painted the jet with a silent lock tone, not firing, just letting him know who had the upper hand. The message was clear. A long moment passed before the Iranian fighter peeled away, banking back toward Yemen's coastline. Razor watched until the blip disappeared from radar. Ghost broke the silence. Guess he got the point. Razor exhaled slowly. Yeah. Sometimes you don't need to pull the trigger to win. They turned back toward the carrier, the Red Sea glimmering beneath them. As the Eisenhower came into view, the radio crackled with the carrier's calm voice, "Welcome home, Razor Flight. Debrief on deck." Razor allowed himself a faint grin. "Copy that, Command. Mission complete. And tell intel," he paused for effect. "Houthis tried to hit a US jet today. Big mistake.